All right, we are back. We can skip the introductions for this, but let's just dive right back into it.
All right. A topic that was brought up during the break was, graduation. First off, I think we should all, give a hand to Toby. I know you're a humble man, but I just want to say congratulations, bro. You deserve it. But yes, what are your guys' thoughts on graduation?
Well, first off, did we graduate? Did we have a graduation? I don't know. I feel like the school did us dirty, to be honest. I feel like they didn't give us the proper send-off, and I feel like now I'm in a little limbo of, without much closure. And, there's no up either about they're going to have a graduation later. And so, I don't know. I feel kind of like our nurse a little forgotten in a sense.
A little bit, especially just seeing everyone else like celebrate. I know it's hard for them to say if we're gonna have something later, but it's like it would have been nice to have at least a little something other than just that award ceremony, because it wasn't even really. It was kind of just congrats, Toby, again. Sorry, not to say that was bad or anything. I'm just saying we had a little more.
No, I feel you 100%. That's why it's like, I mean, yeah, you got the award, but I think that makes it even weirder because like there were so many names. I don't know if it would have made it any better if everyone's names were read off, but it's just a little weird. Like I wish, even if that wasn't the ideal situation, at least something more could have been done in some way. I know I saw Berkeley's graduation. They had some students put together a whole Minecraft server for their commencement, which I mean, and I know some schools have done Roblox. I don't know how I feel about making a Roblox account, but just seeing that they're trying something, doing something at the very least. I thought that was cool. I don't know how people would feel about doing a Minecraft graduation, but at least some form of a send off would have been nice.
Or at least one to like look forward to, because I know other schools are saying that like if it's like safe, they'll do it like next year, and it'll be like a 1-year reunion for their graduates too, which I think would have been nice to look forward to. But it's like we literally just don't know anything, so that's kind of sad.
I've been hearing this like rumor for some people have just been saying like, oh well, they're gonna try to do something in August. I have no idea. Like that hasn't been confirmed or anything. So it's just like blind hope that they're going to be doing something at some point for us. But yeah, it would be nice if we had something that was like confirmed and set in stone. Like if they had a plan, but they haven't really told us anything at all.
Yeah, at least the hope is that there is a plan that they're working on, right? Like that's what all we can hope, but then no one knows anything, and it's just tough too because LA has extended their shelter-in-place orders until July, so if that's the case, August doesn't look too promising.
Right.
At this point.
I'm sad because I found out, when they sent us the cap and gowns, they were supposed to send us like little presents and stuff inside too. They were supposed to send like a mug and like a little light plate, and they just decided not to do it.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, why? What?
Because
Tara, that's what they did for like previous years. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, my roommate was on like the committee that was trying to figure out what to do, and she was saying that was their whole plan because sending the caps and the gowns was like a gift from alumni. They funded that, right? Is that true?
I thought we paid for them.
Oh,
like included in our tuition?
Yeah.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
I don't know. It was a gift from alumni, but like that they were supposed to have that it was supposed to have like other stuff in it.
Like what happened? It was just like too expensive or something?
Yeah, shipping and handling is too much.
They used it to pay for the flowers they needed.
Yeah, or their $20 million dorm building.
Yeah.
This is
they need to reflower Lone Mountain.
It's a weird feeling,
they
right?
Redo the basketball gym again.
Graduating in the middle of a pandemic. This is what it's like. It's like you graduated but you didn't graduate.
Yeah, our court's literally like the guinea pig for everything. Or like
can we talk about that?
System.
It's just
Other than the one behind,
first. We're just the first for everything.
Yeah,
like,
I think it also.
Go ahead.
Oh, Eric. I don't know who was talking. I just like from the very beginning there was a problem, and it all started with there being 187 of us, and the whole.
Is that how many we started with?
Oh God, what do
Wow.
we do? And there's just been issues since then because they over admitted and then treated us like it was our fault. I'm like, you guys told us.
You guys
Literally
said
every
yes.
semester they're like, there's so many of you guys. They're like,
Yeah, like
we're working on it,
resentful.
but there's just so many. It's like, that's your fault.
It's like, yeah, sorry. Like, I just showed up because you told me I could.
I always think about that because like sometimes like struggling in some of the classes, I'm like, man, if they would have kept the same class size, would I have been like in that like 80 people or whatever?
I think about that too. I'm like, oh my God, would I have actually been accepted?
Did we really start with 187?
Yeah, something like that.
Wow. I always thought it was like 150. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of
It
people.
was close to 200, and they did not know what to do. That's why they tried to send us to another country. Like,
yeah, and they created like that
abroad.
outreach program that wasn't really an outreach program, like the one that
Yeah.
Shane and Jaden.
Oh,
I think
man.
that was kind of
Yeah.
unfair.
I felt so bad, especially for Shane.
Yeah.
Were they
They
like?
didn't even get to go to a fun country. They were literally here.
Oh, they were here.
How did that work? Were they like forced? Not like forced into, but was it like heavily suggested on you guys that you should be doing this immersion program to kind of lower the cohort size?
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
no,
they were
they-
like heavily, I felt like they were heavily advertising it. Like, oh, like, hey, there's this great outreach program. You'll be doing all this community service work and, it's great. And you'll still graduate with your class. And, but then, I don't know, I wish Shane was here to talk a little more about how that went. But
no, I feel like they heavily advertised it, but not for like we could all tell it was because they were freaking out that there were too many of us, but they would never admit it. They're like, "What? No."
Yeah, like
I think I remember the advertising for like the actual study abroad was like, normally you can't ever do this, but we're making this one exception for you guys. Like
You
you're
guys
stuck.
get this opportunity.
So like,
I literally remember like somebody came into our class to like advertise it to us when they'd literally usually just send like an email like, oh, here it's available. But somebody literally was like, you need to do this. This is a great opportunity.
I mean, I was doing it. I applied for it. I got into it, and I was like in the USF 101 class to study abroad. And then I remember sitting there, and I was like, oh, so you guys don't have a plan for us. This is you don't know what you're doing. I don't really want to be the guinea pig. So then I was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. And so many people backed out because of that.
Are they still doing it? Is the immersion still, or was this a one-time thing?
It was literally that one time, and then they never talked about it again.
And the problem is they keep over accepting into their classes, but they're not putting more money into the nursing program. At least like from my point of view, we don't have enough staff. We don't have enough space. We have so many students. Yeah, we don't have enough materials for anything.
And it led to like a lot of like clinical problems because like I know having like one of the latest registrations, it's like when I would sign up, there'd literally be like one block open. It's like unannounced time, unannounced day, no instructor. And it's like I had new instructors every semester. And it's
That
like
was
they didn't know what to do because they were just like, yeah. And we're like, we don't know either. Like,
no, totally. There was one time, it was for junior one. It's for junior one registration. I went to go, I've always had one of the last registration times, like dead last. And I went to go register for a block and all of them were closed. Every single one. I like walked from Toller with my laptop in a cowl just sobbing. And I was like, does this mean I'm out of the program? And they were like, and I remember it was still when, what was her name? Sydney? The placement coordinator, the one who had before Eric, and she was like, give me 5 minutes, and like runs into the office and like I don't know what she did, and then like runs back out and she goes, okay, there's an opening. And it was because John Marcos Garcia dropped out of the Stanford one and I got in it, but like only because of that was there an opening. So like if he hadn't have like switched majors, I was like, well, did you just not have a spot for me? What was gonna? I was so curious, like what was gonna happen. But
yeah, And so what's interesting though is even though we've had a lot of these problems, I feel like our class has definitely felt the brunt of a lot of these. It's definitely not unique to our school.
Yeah.
Just across the board in the nation, nursing there's a shortage everywhere in the hospitals, in schools, in clinical settings, like everywhere. And you have schools that are, over admitting, and then you have a shortage. And then even when we do have capacity, I think we've definitely dealt with hospitals that have pulled out of clinicals as the semester starting, which I think happened last semester and this semester too. Like a week into leading into the first week, and then we're like losing clinicals left and right. And so it's
Yeah.
interesting to see how that's affecting the future. And then of course with the whole pandemic with this semester and how that's affected clinical placements and hours and people finishing, and luckily everyone was able to finish.
Yeah, but my problem is that it's not just clinicals, it's our theory classes that they know how many of us there are, and then they always like cap it way too short for the amount of people that need to be in the class. And it's like, you know how many people you have in the cohort, so why can't you have like the cap size for the theory classes be correct? Like when I was applying for senior one, I had this whole ordeal. I know everyone did too, but I didn't know it yet. I got it. So I was in block 6 or something like that, and I was fine the entire summer. And then maybe 2 weeks before the semester starts, I get an email saying, you were one of the last people to register for this block, which is not my fault because that's my registering time. They're like, you are going to be dropped from the block. You need to find a new schedule. Yeah. And so at that point during the summer, there's no other spots open in a block, right? And all my core classes are fit into that schedule. I need to find new core classes. I had 2 jobs lined up. I got fired from one of them because I couldn't come up with a schedule in time. And then that same orientation weekend, I had to present MSNS to the freshmen, incoming freshmen, and like sell it to them. Be like, yeah, this nursing program is what you want to be here for. While I was in the midst of not having a schedule at all. I just think like the way they handled it is like pretty poor. It's like, why just drop me from all my classes when you can just say, hey, it's full. We're going to try to open up more spots in other blocks. No, we're not. We're going to drop you and you have to find a new block, you know?
So what ended up happening? Did you just have to find a new schedule with
Yeah,
all
I
of
had to
that?
find a new schedule. And then I had clinical, like peds and maternity on different days, like a lot of people had.
Oh, I did.
Yeah, fortunately, I didn't have Sunday clinical. Um, but I mean, it was just like the way they handle it was so poor. And I keep hearing that, and like I keep hearing that they cap the theory classes really small because of like classroom size, but then it's like find a bigger classroom.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like the nurse school has such a big pull in the university that I feel like they should have like access to a lot bigger rooms, stuff like that. I don't know. It's just I didn't like the way it was handled.
Can we also talk about like the senior one class scheduling? Like there were 2 classes and 2 sections of each class. Like why was that so difficult to just split us in half and like schedule it? Like I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like we were saying, our class has just been our core has just been like at the front of everything, like having to struggle through so many different things.
But I think
and again, like so many
go ahead.
advocates in our class too, like brought out a lot of like advocacy from a lot of our peers. It really showed their voice, you know.
Yeah, and I think that's if there's a positive to bring out of it, because what I know from some other schools is they'll literally have a theory class that has say 120 slots, and there's like 60 lab slots, and you don't get credit for either unless you have both, and so it just rolls over, and so over 10 years you have thousands of people registering for these 120 slots and 60 slots, and so I think what was cool, at least from what I've seen from what USF has done, at least with the micro class and anatomy classes, like early on, they had created more slots in labs to accommodate for how many people there were. So I think that's cool, but also like Nick, like what you said about advocacy, just finding ways of speaking out and saying, hey, this isn't okay, and working in the right way of trying to get things done. People like Sammy who really worked so hard to ensure that our cohort, at least in some ways, gets some of these things fixed for the coming cohorts, because the sizes I feel like aren't getting any smaller.
Yeah, they're getting bigger.
Yeah.
Which does not make any sense. It's like you should have learned.
Or it's like at least invest more into the program. Like we
Exactly.
don't have like enough of anything.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Granted, some of it isn't the university's fault, but I think what they can control, they're not really doing it very well.
Yeah.
Right.
I still remember the day when I was in the skills lab and they were like, can you reuse the alcohol swabs? And I was like, oh, we're really low on stuff. Okay. Like,
We're that low.
cool.
You know, I remember like practicing IVs and I like cap one and they're like, oh, that was your only one. Like you should have like threaded your catheter through the needle and like kept practicing.
It's unreal. And then you find out that more, like, did you know that the rates of needle sticks have gone up with the students? Because we're like, they're doing like the school is like, here's, you have to recap, but don't actually do it. But then it's like, when you're like the first time you're doing it in clinical, it's like, what do you revert to when you're absolutely terrified? Muscle memory. What was your muscle memory? To recap the needle. Like, it's, I don't know, like things like that. It's like, there's a clear need for you to invest in this, but you're just not doing it. And I want to know why.
I wonder how the cohorts that are doing skills online are doing that.
I can't even imagine.
How is that, Ryan? Have you done online clinicals?
Yeah, all of our online clinicals has been through was it like the
VSIM?
The lim, yeah, it's just like the VSIM. So it's like very short. You press a lot of buttons. You're like, oh, you want to do blood pressure? I'll press that button. But in terms of the skills, I haven't learned. Well, I didn't really learn all the skills that were necessary for sophomore 2. I don't know if they're trying to make that up for summer or for the fall. But yeah, because like the only thing that I've been introduced to was like medication administration through NG2 and like practicing Foley cath, like for like one session. But then I like whatever was next, we just didn't go through it really.
It's something like needing to understand, because like not only are you learning Foley cath, that's also like the first time you're experiencing the need to do a sterile procedure. And like walking through that, like you can't, like it's so difficult because you need to like have your hands in front of you, you have your sterile field. That's something that requires you to be in person to do to like really learn correctly. Like it's stuff like that that's like definitely getting glossed over or missed entirely when you have to do it online.
And I think that transitions well into, we have a shortage of nursing staff everywhere at all levels, right? Hospitals, the classroom, clinicals, and here we are in the middle of a pandemic where we need more nurses, and then the education aspect is getting affected. Like, I don't know, how ready does everyone feel after having, graduated, going into nursing? Everyone's applying for jobs and stuff. How do you guys feel going into that as far as your preparedness?
Well, like specifically about the application process, not even like the idea of being a nurse, the application process in general, I just feel like I'm going in blind. Like they don't ever really, they say, yeah, you need a resume and cover letter. They don't really tell you how to do that. We missed out on recruiters coming to school to really break down certain hospitals' application processes. Like, I feel like a lot of things were just kind of shoved under the rug or expected that we figure out on our own, and they potentially might have been easier if COVID didn't happen, but like still we're in this just like, I feel like I was in the dark and I had to just like find people that have graduated and figure it out through them or figure it out through trial and error. But like just not even touching the idea of like going out and being a nurse, which just seems kind of crazy. It's like the application process in general. It's like no one really talks about it and no one really talks about it. And it's something that they kind of just expect us to do. So like, I just wish that it's like, what if during seminar or even our leadership class, they were like, okay, first week, you guys have to create a resume, and here's how to create a cover letter. And like, here's how to research when applications are opening and closing. It's just like, if they had invested time in that, then I would feel a lot more comfortable.
I actually did get that in my seminar class.
Yeah, we got a little bit of that.
Oh,
not a
nice.
ton, but we did.
That's cool. I did not.
But it was towards the end of the semester where it's like, I should have done this earlier so like I could revisit it again and again, like keep on editing it, not like have a first draft ready for my application, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like my whole time in college, I always tell people, oh yeah, I'm a nurse. So they're like, oh, you'll find a job super easy. You'll find a job. Like, oh yeah, you'll find a job. And it's like, well, now there's a shortage of nurses, but they're low census, a lot of hiring freezes.
And no one wants new grads to start with.
Yeah.
Especially in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
And especially now when they need like hands to do like important stuff, it's not like they want to take the time to like teach somebody who's new all these things while they have like a higher census and like more critical patients to take care of. And it's like,
and on top of that, a lot of us didn't get a capstone experience, so we're like, I feel like such a liability stepping onto a floor. If I were to pass NCLEX and somehow find a job in the Bay Area and do all that, like I feel like a liability if I'm not in a new grad program. Like if you were to throw me on the floor right now, I really don't know what to do.
Yeah. And a lot of new grad programs are being postponed. That's the other thing too. It's like there was already a small amount of new grad programs already competitive to get into, and now a lot of them are canceling. I mean, it makes sense. It's just like a really bad mix of things.
Mm-hmm. When you say postponed, I know how new grad positions, it's like you have to be graduated within 6 months to a year. Are they like extending that time frame?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I feel like if it wouldn't be that way, then I feel like it'd be we'd be screwed.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah. I think what I've gathered from people is there's a lot of these job descriptions, right? Requirements and stuff like that. A lot of people that I've talked to say to just go for it anyways, depending on how you sell it, because a lot of these descriptions were written a while ago and haven't been updated. And so I think it's more important on how you present yourself rather than, obviously you're not going to be like applying to be, clinical nurse 4 or something, right? But just like the entry level clinical nurse 1 new grad programs, even if you don't necessarily fit the description, word for word, but if you can fit, I think, a majority of it, even if you're lacking in experience, because these are things you can't control, right? You can't control if you had a clinical experience or not, because some of us just didn't get that opportunity. But you kind of just have to make the best of what you have on you, and then apply and hope for the best at this point, right?
Yeah.
But we're nearing the end of this portion. I think this will be it for today, I believe, for everyone. But is there anything anyone wants to cover as we start wrapping up?
Any lasting words?
Yeah. Lasting words as new graduates.
I feel like the second half was definitely a lot more complaining about nursing school, but at the end of the day, I did enjoy my time, and I'm glad I'm going to be a nurse. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, we're very privileged to be in the position we are. I just think that a lot, like, we're just so used to, I don't know, getting what we want. Like when it doesn't work out, like we just resort to complaining. But I mean, I don't know. I did enjoy my time at USF. It's just that when you pay that much money,
you expect
like, and I was marketed the USF name, I don't know.
Yeah.
Topic for another day.
But I think at the end of the day, right, with where we are now, even if it wasn't the ideal experience per se, I think all of us can say that through this program and through all of the ups and downs we've been through the program, we've definitely all grown and learned a lot. And, you look back to where you started off as a, freshman, wide-eyed, no idea what you're getting yourself into. And then now everyone's, got a little bit more weight on their shoulders, a little more sleep deprived in the eyes. But then at the end of the day, we're all going to be nurses eventually at
Right.
some point, right? And then being able to draw back and go, you know what, it was a pretty good experience.
And I think that I'm just going to shout out, I know that the program in general and admin in general, there were difficulties and hurdles that we had to get through, but I think that like the way that the thing that really made up for it was like the individual faculty who really cared, and you could tell.
Mm-hmm.
And like those group of people, I mean, I love them to death.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
So-
There's definitely been a lot of high quality staff. You know,
Absolutely.
professors that we've encountered and who were about our well-being, not only as a student, but just as a person. And that's something I've always appreciated about who USF's nursing program was kind of hiring or has hired.
Yeah. I mean, I would go through it all again to have Dr. Hurley as my PEDS teacher, hands down. Like just to name one person that we can all agree on.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I appreciate, but kind of regret not doing more is just going into office hours and talking to more of those teachers who really kind of fought for us and kind of made those accommodations when everything was rough.
Definitely.
And that's an important thing, right? I really taking the time, for anyone who's listening, taking the time to get to know your professors, especially the ones who are quite literally, chopping off their arms and legs just to make this experience worthwhile, make it a good experience, and trying to turn those negatives into positives. And people like Dr. Hurley, like Dr. Denali, like everybody who's really pushing for the student experience, just to name a few people. And there's countless more who, being able to take the time in office hours or even a small moment after class, I know they really appreciate that.
And I also want to just thank you guys, because I feel like, as hard and weird as nursing school can be, administration, all that, I feel like what makes it really worth it is just the people around us, our peers, our friends, the community we make, whether it's through NSA or MSNS. I feel like nursing school has, for me at least, been worth it because of the people here. And, I just want to thank you all, whether it's for, helping me through freshman year, whether it's like EMT, RockMed, or especially the HESI. Oh my God, thank you guys for helping me out with the HESI. I really appreciated it.
By the way, this guy killed the HESI. Did an excellent job. We're not gonna name the score, but it was extremely high.
Thank you.
Almost perfect, just to throw that out there.
Wow.
Thanks.
Good stuff.
1600, what's the top score?
No, I was
2000.
2000? Oh, 2000. Ryan got
really?
2000.
Is it 2000 or is it 1500?
I think it's closer to like 12 for the HESI he took.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it's 1200, but your boy was very close to that.
Nice.
Wow.
Congrats on the
Nice.
1200. 12,000, I mean.
1199.
Yeah, the future is bright. I can't wait to see what's next.
I shall try my best to carry on your guys' legacy.
You're going to do great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What are you guys looking forward to these next coming months?
JOB.
JOB.
Getting hired, COVID being lifted, hopefully.
Hopefully passing NCLEX on the first try.
First try.
That'd be nice.
It's a little hefty price taking one, so I'd appreciate not having to do multiple.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Wait, so would we have to pay for like everything for another ATT if we don't pass the first one? Like, would we have to pay for another ATT or just for the registration of an NCLEX?
I think it's a whole thing.
Oh my God.
Okay, well,
So much more
Well, hey,
pressure.
that's more
I wouldn't even
motivation.
think about
Just think about it as, just motivation to get the first one done.
Ryan, for
Yeah.
your information, it costs like $600 to take your NCLEX.
Yeah.
And they
Not-
make you pay when you apply.
Not including study materials
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a hefty fee, but
or saving.
that's
None of us have to worry about that. I know that for sure.
but yeah, thanks everyone again for coming on.
Thanks for having us,
Thanks for
Toby.
having
Yeah.
us.
Thank you.
And congrats to
Thank you.
everybody who graduated, not just the people on this call, but also everyone else. It's been a crazy, 2 months, the past 2 months that this has been, to say the least. But at the end of the day, we all did it. And, we're going to go from here and see where things go.
Yeah, thanks Toby and Ryan for hosting.
Thank
It
you.
was really awesome.